Commander Jake Morrison stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. The ceiling stretched high above him, made of crystal that showed stars and distant worlds. Around him, representatives from 100 different species talked in voices that sounded like music static and clicks. Jake was the only human here. The Veltari ambassador, a tall creature with silver skin that seemed to glow, looked down at Jake. Its voice came directly into his mind. The Deathworlders speak again. How quaint. Jake took a deep breath. 50 years. For 50 years, humans had been part of this council. 50 years of being called Deathworlders, because Earth was a dangerous place with high gravity, poisonous, plants and predators. The other species saw humans as violent creatures who could only be useful for fighting. Ambassador Zethari, Jake said, keeping his voice calm. We come to discuss the trade routes again. Our colony ships need safe passage through hyperspace lanes. The blue-skinned Ectal representative made a sound like bubbling water. The Deathworlders and their ships of war. No. Too dangerous for our peaceful lanes. Jake felt his hands tighten into fists. Ships of war. The colony ships carried families, children, farmers, and teachers. But the council only saw soldiers. When they looked at humans, Dr. Lisa Martin, the human xenobiologist, stepped forward. She was small compared to most species here, but she knew more about alien life than anyone else. Please, we offer our medical knowledge, our science, our— Deathworlders do not do science, interrupted the six-armed Quarty delegate. You guard, you fight. That is your purpose. The words hit like a punch. Jake had been a teacher before. He became an ambassador. Lisa had saved thousands of lives with her research. Ben Carter, standing quietly behind them, had written poetry that some aliens secretly loved. But the council would never see them as anything but weapons. That was when the emergency signal came through. A medical ship, the Healing Hand, was under attack by pirates near the Outer Rim. The ship carried doctors and medicine for a plague outbreak on Veltar Prime. Jake activated his communicator. Council emergency. Medical vessel under attack. Requesting immediate assistance for rescue mission. The hall fell silent. Then the laughing began. It came from the Zathri, a species that looked like living rocks. The Deathworlders want us to play soldier? How amusing. We have a treaty, Jake said, his voice getting louder. Mutual defense, protection for all member species. Zethari's thoughts touched his mind again. Treaties protect the civilized species from each other. Pirates are a matter for those with violence in their nature. That is why we have you. But our forces are halfway across the galaxy, Jake protested. Other species have patrol ships closer. The Healing Hand will be destroyed before we can reach them. The Ectal bubbled again. Then perhaps you should have planned better, Deathworlder. Jake stood there feeling the weight of what just happened. A ship full of doctors and medicine would die, not because of inability to help, but because helping was beneath the civilized species. Commander Morrison, Ben Carter spoke quietly, the Healing Hand has been destroyed. No survivors. The hall fell silent again. This time, no one was laughing. Jake looked around at the assembled species. He saw them clearly now. They saw humans as tools for violence, nothing more. They took human protection, human innovation, human sacrifice, and gave nothing back but contempt. He straightened his uniform and spoke in a voice that carried to every corner of the Great Hall. For 50 years, humanity has served this council. We have protected trade routes, we have stopped pirates, we have fought wars to save worlds that called us monsters behind our backs. We have offered our medicine, our technology, our friendship. Jake paused, looking directly at Zethari. Today, a medical ship died because you were too proud to press a button, too civilized to save lives. He turned to face the entire council. From this moment forward, humanity withdraws from all protection agreements. We will no longer patrol your space. We will no longer fight your battles. We will no longer pretend that you see us as equals when you only see us as weapons. The silence was complete. You wanted Deathworlders? You called us violent, dangerous, primitive. You're right. We are dangerous, and we're done being nice about. Jake Morrison turned and walked toward the exit. Lisa and Ben followed. As they left, Jake heard Zathari's thoughts one more time. They wouldn't dare. Jake smiled grimly. They had no idea what humans would dare. Outside the council chamber, Lisa touched Jake's arm. Are you sure about this? They'll realize soon enough what we've been doing for them, Jake said. What we've been protecting them from. What we've been holding back. Ben nodded. Should we warn Earth Command? Yes. Tell them to prepare for withdrawal protocols. Full scale. Jake looked back at the Great Hall. Tell them it's time to see what happens when Deathworlders stop being kind. In the council chamber, the first emergency messages were already arriving. Without human patrol ships, things were beginning to fall apart faster than anyone expected. Main day the Deathworlders decided to stop being kind had begun. General Steve Mitchell led the assault on the Iron Sky Brotherhood's hidden fortress. The rogue humans had established a base in a dead star system, using stolen human technology to build an army. Move in teams of 3, he ordered over comms. These are our own people. Stun only unless lives are threatened. The battle was fierce. The Brotherhood fighters were well-trained humans who believed conquest was humanity's destiny. They fought with skill and desperation. General, Captain Alex Johnson reported, we've found their command center. They're preparing to awaken all remaining ancient threats simultaneously. That would kill billions, Steve said grimly. Breach. And clear now. The command center revealed the Brotherhood's true plan. Monitors showed launch sequences for devices that would wake every sleeping ancient across the galaxy. Complete chaos that would force humanity to impose order through military might. Stop the launch, Steve ordered. 5 minutes of brutal fighting ended with the Brotherhood's leader, a former human admiral named Tom Bradley, on his knees. You don't understand, Tom said, blood running from his mouth. This is the only way. Rule or be ruled. That's how the universe works. No, Steve replied. That's how you work. Real strength is knowing when not to use power. The launch was stopped with seconds to spare. While Steve handled the Brotherhood threat, Admiral Kate Sullivan led the largest human fleet ever assembled to confront the galaxy's crisis. Ship after ship jumped into threatened systems, not as conquerors, but as the help that should have been offered freely decades ago. In the Zathri system, human scientists worked around the clock to repair containment fields around an ancient threat. The rock people watched in amazement as humans moved through danger zones they'd declared impossible. In Veltari space, human ships coordinated with telepathic populations for the first time as true partners. The silver-skinned people offered their mental abilities to help communicate with the ancient entities. In Ektal territory, human and Ektal worked together to restore damaged habitats. Ambassador Claire Johnson arrived at the Galactic Council with a new treaty document. The Great Hall was packed for the first time in months, though some species attended by hologram as their worlds were still under threat. The Deathworlder Accords, she announced, projecting the document for all to see. Humanity will return, to protect and aid the galaxy, but under new conditions. Zathari, the Veltari ambassador, spoke first. We accept any terms. We have learned our errors. Claire nodded respectfully. First, military protection will be mutual. Each species must maintain basic self-defense capabilities. Earth will train your forces, but you must defend yourselves too. Murmurs of agreement spread through the hall. Second, scientific cooperation will be equal. Humans have knowledge about ancient threats, but other species have unique insights. We share everything, learn together. Third, governance will be merit-based. Leadership positions go to those who prove capable, regardless of species. Fourth, the word Deathworlder is retired. Humans are humans, part of this galactic community as equals. The Ektal representative bubbled excitedly. What? Of ancient knowledge? The sleeping entities, will you teach us? Claire smiled. We will. In fact, that's point 5. Education requirements. Every species must understand the threats we all face. Ignorance serves no one. President Linda Walsh addressed the galaxy through broadcast channels. The human nation withdraws its withdrawal from galactic affairs. We return not as we left, but as we always should have been. Partners in civilization, teachers of hard lessons, learners of new wisdom. The events of recent months showed what happens when protection is taken for granted. They also showed what happens when knowledge is hoarded. Moving forward, we share both the responsibilities and the benefits of galactic survival. Dr. Sam Turner, now Director of Galactic Defense Planning, established the first integrated command center. Humans worked side by side with Veltari telepaths, Quarti technicians, and Zathri engineers. Species that had never spoken directly to each other now planned defenses together. Incoming threat detected at Sector 7, a Veltari communications officer reported. Ancient? Asked Sam. No, sir, pirate fleet, large one. Deploy defensive formations. Ordered a Quarti tactical specialist. Humans take lead fighters. We'll support with drones. Sam smiled. 6 months ago, such cooperation would have been impossible. Now it felt natural. Captain Mary Thompson received a medal from the Galactic Council for her unauthorized rescue missions. She accepted it on behalf of all humans who had helped civilians despite official policy. I broke my government's orders because some things are more important than politics, she said. I'm glad those days are behind us. Colonel Rick Davis established the Galaxy Defense Academy, where young beings from all species learn to protect their homes together. The first graduating class included humans, Ektal, Veltari, and even some Zathri who had overcome their species' traditional isolation. You are not soldiers of your individual species, Rick told them at graduation. You are guardians of galactic civilization, human, Ektal, Veltari. These are our origins, not our limits. Dr. Nancy Wilson published her now famous paper, The Isolation Mistake, which became required reading for diplomats. It documented how the Council's classification of humans as violent Deathworlders, only good for fighting, had created a dangerous dependency. When we put people in boxes, she wrote, we deny ourselves their full potential. When we take protection for granted, we forget its cost. The galaxy nearly died learning these lessons. Years later, historians would look back on this period as the restructuring, the time when galactic civilization nearly collapsed and was rebuilt stronger. Children of all species learned in their history classes about the day Deathworlders decided to stop being kind. They learned that humans had been protecting secrets and fighting threats their entire civilization never knew existed. They learned that respect must be earned and given equally. But the most important lesson, etched in monuments across the galaxy, was simpler. Strength without wisdom creates tyrants. Wisdom without strength invites extinction. True civilization requires both, shared freely among all. Jake Morrison, in his final speech as Earth's special ambassador, said it best. Every species still tells stories about the day Deathworlders decided to stop being kind. Most forget to mention why. We weren't cruel. We were tired of being taken for granted. The galaxy learned that lesson. Now we all face the stars together, as equals, friends, and protectors of each other. In the end, they achieved what the old council never could, true unity. Not based on fear or on one group doing all the work, but on mutual respect and shared responsibility. The Deathworlders had come home, and home had finally become a place where all species could learn, grow, and face the universe together. Years later, new threats would emerge. Ancient entities would stir, pirates would organize. But the galaxy faced them with integrated forces, shared knowledge, and unbreakable bonds forged from lessons learned the hard way. The day the Deathworlders decided to stop being kind became the day the galaxy learned what true kindness meant. Not endless giving without recognition, but partnership based on respect. And that partnership would keep the stars safe for generations to come. Captain Mary Thompson landed her rescue ship on a burning Quarti world. The six-armed species had finally called for help, though their government still refused to admit they needed humans. Mary didn't care about governments anymore. She cared about the small Quarti children she pulled from collapsed buildings. Captain, her medic Jim Parker said as they loaded refugees, we're getting close to capacity. Keep loading. We can fit more. A Quarty elder approached, all 6 arms trembling. Why do you save us? Your government said no help for our kind. Mary looked at the ancient being. I'm a doctor first. Politics later. Colonel Rick Davis watched the war room displays with growing concern. What had started as pirate attacks was evolving into something much worse. Multiple species were declaring war on each other, hoping to seize resources before the galaxy completely collapsed. Sir, the Veltari and Ektal are shooting at each other over water rights in the neutral zone, his advisor reported. Let them fight, Rick said, but he felt uneasy. Dr. Sam Turner, the human military strategist, approached his station. Colonel, we need to look at the bigger picture. These wars aren't random. Someone's organizing them. Rick pulled up the war pattern. Analysis. You think there's a puppet master? Look at the timing, the targets. These conflicts are strategically placed to create maximum chaos. While everyone fights each other, nobody's watching for the real threats. Rick saw it then. The pattern pointed to human territory, as if someone wanted to force humanity back into the galaxy by making the situation impossible to ignore. Contact Admiral Sullivan. Tell her we might have a bigger problem than stubborn aliens. Dr. Nancy Wilson made a discovery that chilled her to the bone. In her lab, analyzing data patterns, she found something no one expected. This can't be right, she muttered, running the calculations again. The ancient threats weren't waking up randomly. Something was waking them up. The timing was too perfect, the pattern too organized. Each awakening happened exactly where it would cause maximum damage to species that had treated humans poorly. Someone's playing God with the galaxy, she told, her data to Admiral Kate Sullivan. Who would have that kind of power? Kate asked. Only humans have deep enough understanding of the ancient containment systems. Someone's using our knowledge against the galaxy. General Steve Mitchell conducted his own investigation into the organized wars plaguing the galaxy. His special forces had captured several groups of mysterious raiders attacking various species. Under questioning, the raiders revealed something shocking. They're human? Steve asked, reviewing the interrogation transcripts. Yes, sir. Rogue humans selling military services to any species that wants to raid their neighbors. Captain Alex, Johnson reported. They call themselves the Iron Sky Brotherhood. They believe humans should rule the galaxy by force. Steve felt cold dread. While most humans wanted to teach the galaxy a lesson about respect, some wanted revenge, some wanted domination. How many? Unknown, but they have stolen human military hardware and are recruiting mercenaries from aggressive species. Contact Earth Command. We have a problem within our own ranks. The United Earth Congress assembled for the most important vote in human history. President Linda Walsh stood before representatives from every human colony and Earth itself. We face 3 choices, she began. First, remain isolated and let the galaxy burn. Second, return on the Council's new terms of full equality. Third, take control ourselves and impose order by force. Debate raged for hours. Some Congress members, especially those who had lost family to alien prejudice, wanted option 3. Others wanted to stay away from galactic politics entirely. But most understood that option 2 was becoming impossible. Members of Congress, interrupted General Steve Mitchell, appearing on screen. We have evidence of internal threats. Some humans are actively destroying the galaxy while blaming it on alien incompetence. Explain, President Walsh demanded. Rogue human forces are waking ancient threats, arming pirates and starting wars. They want to force us into becoming galactic overlords. They're making the situation so bad that conquest seems like the only solution. The Congress fell silent. The vote they thought they were making had just become more complex. Ambassador Jake Morrison sat in his office on Earth, watching reports flow in from across the galaxy. 37 species facing extinction. 12 systems completely lost to ancient threats. War breaking out everywhere. His aide, Jennifer Brown, entered with new reports. Sir, the Veltari have offered to step down from the Council leadership and support human oversight of galactic defense. Jake nodded tiredly. Too little, Too late. Sir, there's something else. Dr. Wilson's research suggests someone's been manipulating events, making things worse than they should be. Humans? Yes, sir. Rogue elements. They don't want peace or equality. They want empire. Jake felt the weight of history on his shoulders. His goal had been to teach respect, not to create chaos. But events were spiraling beyond anyone's control. Crisis meeting of human leadership. Admiral Kate Sullivan, General Steve Mitchell, Colonel Rick Davis, Dr. Nancy Wilson, President Linda, Walsh and Jake Morrison gathered in a secure facility on Earth. Let's summarize, President Walsh began. The galaxy is falling apart faster than projected. Rogue humans are accelerating the collapse, and we're running out of time to decide. Our response. Kate spoke first. Military assessment, if we don't act soon, entire sectors will be lost to ancient threats. The containment systems can't be restarted remotely. We need boots on the ground. Nancy added. Scientific analysis shows 37 species will be extinct within 6 months without intervention. The cascade failure is accelerating. Steve's report was grim. The Iron Sky Brotherhood has stolen enough human technology to outfit a small army. They're preparing for something big. Jake looked around the room. So what do we do? Return as peacekeepers and risk being taken advantage of again? Or let our rogue elements create a human empire built on the ashes of galactic civilization? There's a third option, Rick Davis said quietly. We return, but on our terms. Not as equals, not as masters, but as the ones who know what's really out there. We save who we can, but we also make sure they understand why they needed saving, President Walsh considered. Selective intervention with education. Save them, but make them learn. Time's running out, Kate warned. We need to decide now. As Earth's leadership debated across the galaxy, Captain Mary Thompson continued her rescue missions. Dr. Sam Turner worked on plans to counter the rogue human threat. And the Galactic Council in its mostly empty chambers waited to learn if the Deathworlders would return to save them, rule them, or let them die. The day the Deathworlders decided to stop being kind was becoming the day that would determine the future of the galaxy itself. Captain Mary Thompson guided her small rescue ship through the debris field that used to be a Veltari colony station. Bodies floated past her viewport, frozen in the vacuum of space. Blue-skinned Ektal, silver Veltari, rock-like Zathri, all mixed together in death. Captain, we're picking up 3 life signs, her pilot said. Weak but there. Set us down in Bay 7. It's the only section with atmosphere left. Mary had volunteered for rescue missions against Earth Command's official policy. The orders were clear, no official aid to Council species. But some humans couldn't watch innocent beings die, no matter how their governments had treated Earth. They found survivors in a medical bay. 2 Ektal children huddled around an injured Veltari adult. When they saw Mary's human uniform, the alien children began to cry. Please don't hurt us, the Veltari whispered with its telepathic voice. We know you hate us now. Mary knelt beside them. We don't hate you. Your leaders were the ones who treated us badly. She helped them to her ship, thinking about how everything had fallen apart so quickly. 3 weeks ago, the Galactic Council had been proud and strong. Today, it was dying. Colonel Rick Davis monitored the collapse from a forward observation post. His job was to coordinate human responses, but mostly he watched civilizations crumble. Colonel, incoming from Zathri High Command, his communications officer announced. Put them through. The rock being on the screen looked different than usual. Cracks ran through its body. Signs of extreme stress. Colonel Davis, you must help. The ancient sleeper in our core system has awakened. Our people are turning to stone. Rick had seen this coming. The Zathri lived near one of the oldest threats in the galaxy. Humans had spent decades maintaining containment around the ancient entity. Now, without human maintenance, it was breaking free. I thought humans knew nothing about science or ancient threats, Rick said evenly. We're just violent Deathworlders, remember? Please, we were wrong. Our entire species faces extinction. Rick looked at his tactical display. The Zathri home system showed massive energy readings. The ancient entity was indeed active and feeding on the living rock that made up the Zathri people. "I'll pass your request up the chain of command," he said, and closed the channel. Dr. Nancy Wilson worked around the clock in her observation lab, documenting the collapse of Council civilization. As a xenosociologist, she had predicted this outcome years ago. None of the Council species had real military forces. None had independent research into cosmic threats. None had backup systems for their critical infrastructure. Everything depended on humans, and humans had withdrawn. Dr. Wilson, her assistant, called. "We're getting strange readings from 7 different ancient sites." Nancy checked her displays. Red warnings blinked across multiple star systems. "The sleeping ancients are waking up all at once. The galactic containment network is completely failing." She had helped design that network. Human science, human engineering, human sacrifice, keeping the galaxy safe from threats older than any current species. The Council never knew about any of it. They'd been too busy calling humans primitive to notice that humans were preventing their extinction. "Doctor, should we warn someone?" "Who?" "The Council that expelled us? The species that called us too violent to be real scientists?" Nancy felt bitter. Let them figure it out themselves. Emergency session of the Galactic Council. The Grand Hall was half empty. Many species couldn't risk traveling with pirates everywhere. Those who came looked scared. Ambassador, Zathori, once proud and dismissive, now pleaded into the communication system. "Earth Command, please respond. We know Jake Morrison can hear this, please." Only static answered. The Ektal representative bubbled nervously. "They saved civilians from our wet moon colony. Humans are helping people, just not governments." "Because they want something," grumbled the Zathri delegate, though its voice cracked with fear. "They want us to beg." "Maybe they want us to die," whispered the Cordy. "Maybe this is their revenge." Zathari's telepathic voice echoed through the hall. "No. I've read their minds during past meetings. Humans don't want revenge. They want respect. What difference does it make now?" The Veltari at the far end gestured to empty seats. 7 species have already gone extinct this week. The pirates are organizing. The ancient threats are awakening. Without human protection, without human knowledge, corrected Zathari. They've been fighting threats we never knew existed. The hall fell silent as the truth sank in. Humans hadn't just been soldiers and guards. They'd been the only ones who understood the real dangers facing the galaxy. "Sir," a technician interrupted. "Earth Command is broadcasting." Jake Morrison appeared on the main screen. He looked tired but determined. "I suppose you want to talk now?" "Earth humans," Zathari began formally. "We acknowledge we have made terrible mistakes. We see now that you are much more than protectors. Will you help us survive this crisis?" Jake was quiet for a long moment. "The United Earth Congress is meeting to discuss galactic involvement. Our people are divided. Many want to leave you to your fate after 50 years of being treated like violent animals. We understand your anger. What would you need to help us?" "That's not my decision to make anymore. But I can tell you this. If we return, things will be different. No more civilization versus Deathworlders. No more humans doing all the dangerous work while others claim credit. No more of us saving species that refuse to learn how to save themselves." The screen flickered with new information. Star maps showing ancient threats, pirate movements, collapsing civilizations, all tracked and monitored by human systems that the Council never knew existed. "You see what's happening," Jake continued. "The real question isn't whether you want our help. It's whether the galaxy can survive without us." As if to punctuate his words, new alarms sounded. Another system had gone dark. Another ancient threat had fully awakened. The great age of peace built on human sacrifice and protection was ending. What came next would be decided by whether beings who once called humans Deathworlders could learn to see them as equals. The day the Deathworlders decided to stop being kind was becoming the day the galaxy learned the price of kindness taken for granted. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the fortress, Earth's largest military base in space. Through the windows, she watched human ships forming up in organized lines. Hundreds of vessels, from small patrol boats to massive carriers, were preparing to leave their positions throughout the galaxy. "Admiral, the last security team has left the Zathri home system," reported Captain Alex Johnson. He was a quiet man who led the Special Forces units. "The rock people are already calling for help." Kate nodded. "Any word from the Ektal?" "They're panicking. 3 pirate attacks in their space just today. No human patrols to stop them." The command center buzzed with activity. Dr. Peter Adams, lead scientist for colony development, looked up from his station. "Admiral, we have 17 distress calls from research stations. They're all jointly funded with Council species." "Begin withdrawal from all joint projects," Kate ordered. "Bring our people home." She turned to the main display showing the galaxy map. Red warning lights blinked across it like a disease spreading. Each light marked a place where human protection had kept the peace. Now, without human ships patrolling, pirates and raiders were moving in. "Ma'am," Alex said quietly, "the Veltari are requesting emergency session with Commander Morrison. Tell them he's busy. We're all busy completing the withdrawal they wanted." Kate had served under human command for 30 years. She'd seen humans die protecting species that called them monsters. She'd watched human scientists share cures for diseases, while those same species refused to let humans attend their universities. The treatment had always bothered her, but now it was time to show the consequences. "Admiral, priority message from the Ektal system," a technician called out. "The Ektal colony on Wet Moon is under attack. They're requesting immediate human military intervention." Kate almost laughed. "Tell them to use their own military." They don't have one, ma'am. They never needed one while humans protected them." That was the truth the Council never wanted to admit. Most species had dismantled their military forces once humans joined the Council. Why maintain armies when the Deathworlders would do the fighting? "Put them through," Kate said finally. Screen flickered to life showing an Ektal in obvious distress. Its blue skin had turned pale and its voice came out in bubbles of panic. "Admiral Sullivan, please! Raiders have taken over 3 cities on Wet Moon. Our people are dying." "I'm sorry to hear that," Kate said calmly. "Have you contacted your High Council representatives?" "Yes, but they say it's a military matter. They say we should handle it ourselves, but we don't know how." Kate felt something cold settle in her chest. These people had lived in peace for so long, protected by human sacrifice, that they'd forgotten how to defend themselves. "I'm afraid I can't help you. Humans are no longer your protectors. By Council order, we are only Deathworlders, remember? Violent and dangerous. Surely you don't want us near your peaceful colonies." The Ektal's distress grew worse. "Please, we were wrong. We need help." Kate closed the channel. Around her, the command center had gone quiet. Everyone had heard the desperation in the alien's voice. "Dr. Adams," she said softly, "what's the situation with the old threats?" Peter looked at his screens. "The void stalkers at the edge of the galaxy are becoming active again. Human deep space monitoring was the only thing keeping track of them." "And the ancient sleepers?" 3 sites showing movement, without human scientists monitoring the containment fields. Kate understood. Humans hadn't just been protectors against pirates and raiders. They'd been holding back threats that other species didn't even know existed. "Captain Johnson, begin preparations for Phase 2. Alex nodded. "Selective intervention?" "Yes. We save who we can, individuals, civilians, but no governments, no protection for the species that spat on us." Over the next week, the situation spiraled. Peaceful species that had relied entirely on human protection found themselves helpless against even small groups of pirates. Trade routes collapsed as merchant ships fell under attack. Research stations went dark as their human partners withdrew. The Veltari, once the most powerful telepathic species, lost an entire colony to raiders. Their mental abilities meant nothing against armed attackers. The Quarti, with their 6 arms, discovered that extra limbs didn't help when you didn't know how to fight. The Zathri, living rocks that had seemed invincible, crumbled under organized assault because they'd never developed military tactics. Kate watched it all from her command center. Reports came in constantly. "Admiral, the Veltari are offering to make humans full equals in the Council," a technician reported. "Too late for that," Kate replied. "The Ektal are ready to give humans 3 prime worlds as apology. Don't need their worlds. The Zathri have opened their closed archives to human scientists." Kate paused at that. The Zathri archives contained knowledge from before the Council was formed. Still too late. Dr. Adams approached her. "Admiral, we're getting word that some of the sleeping ancients are fully awake. The containment fields are failing without human maintenance." "How bad?" "Extinction-level events if they fully emerge. Multiple systems." Kate looked at the galaxy map. The red warning lights had spread across half the known space. Below them, new warnings blinked in purple, the color they used for ancient threats. "What's worse," Peter continued, "other species are starting to realize we knew about these threats all along. They're angry we never told them." "Would they have listened?" Alex asked. "Remember, we're just violent Deathworlders. What would we know about ancient cosmic threats?" Kate stood up straight. The time for decisions was coming. Earth Command was waiting for her assessment. The galaxy was falling apart and humans were the only ones who could put it back together. But the cost was going to be different this time. No more grateful thanks that meant nothing. No more protection without respect. No more being called Deathworlders while doing all the work of civilization. "Open a channel to all human forces," she commanded. "It's time to let them know what saving them will cost." The day the Deathworlders decided to stop being kind was becoming the day they decided what kindness was worth.